Did you when you went to Joel's house, right? So I did not know this. I thought I explored every single inch of the house, but apparently I
The
didn't
book?
because I didn't encounter his jacket from the first game. When
Really?
you I did not.
No
So I did not
way.
know about that. Yeah, I did not know about that. I saw it in a video and I was like, what the hell? I missed this.
Oh, I
Oh,
spent 30 hours on this.
like it's so annoying. But then when I saw the sequence, I started crying again. Yeah, spoiler alert. Okay, I unapologetically cry when the story asked me to. I don't care.
You're
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
cry.
find any toxic masculinity in this discussion.
No, no, none of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no, yeah.
we are recording now. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining me in my first online discussion, the first of hopefully many online discussions. And today I'm joined by a fellow AUS alumni, Mr. Fez. Fez, thanks for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me,
And
bro.
yeah, today we'll be talking about Last of Us Part 2, a deep dive into the story of the game. This is not a review, this is a discussion about the narrative strictly. We'll be talking about the things we liked, the things we didn't like, why we thought the storytellers decided to go a particular route, and our expectations for a sequel, potentially. I don't know. We'll see. Before I ask Fez why he thinks Abby is the most beloved character and why he thinks Abby is more popular than Joel, I'm going to start this discussion with discussion by asking Fez a generic question, but kind of disguise it in I'm going to paraphrase this question differently to keep things interesting. So instead of asking you what you thought of the game in general, I'm going to ask you, use one word to describe how you felt when you first picked up the controller and launched the game, and one word you would use to describe how you felt when you put down the controller as the credits were rolling.
Okay, so when I started the game, I feel like one word I could use to describe it is um, slow. I'd say it was a slow start for me. So slow
Okay.
is the word. And when I ended the game, the only word that I could think of to describe the game was bold.
Bold.
Yeah.
That's a good pick of words. Yeah. For me, when I started the game, nostalgic. I guess that's the word I would use, especially
Yeah,
when
of
Joel is
course.
kind of recapping all the incidents, and I was excited to see these characters again. And when I entered the game, weak is what I felt.
Right. Totally understand.
Yeah. So I kind of wrote a few things to hopefully structure this discussion because there's a lot to get into. And
Yep.
we're going to jump straight into the main plot point of this game, what kind of triggers the game, Joel's death.
Yep. The entire incident. Yeah.
Yes. So I know like when the game was announced, we all had this hunch that Joel was going to die. But I don't think a lot of
Yeah.
us realized how soon he was going to die.
Yeah.
So kind of like talk to me about your reaction when you start playing as Abby for the first time all the way till Joel's death.
Okay. So see, I have to give some background here, and I want you to give me your background as well, just so that so that first the viewers don't judge me and I don't judge you, just so that. So as a
We're on the same
gamer,
page.
So as a gamer strictly, I don't play anything that's multiplayer. I've never had an interest in that. I'm not that kind of a gamer. I am story first, game second, right?
Yeah, single player
And
experience kind of
also,
guy. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a very single player experience kind of guy. I don't play all open worlds. They have to be like really good ones. So like I have a very specific taste of play. But like I can be comfortable in saying that most of the what do I say? Most of the AAA titles have been like spectacular, at least for the
Yeah.
PS4. So I played all of them at this point. right? So for The Last of Us, when I first played the game, I it actually didn't hit me how amazing the game was. I'm talking about the first one
Right.
because I didn't enjoy playing the game as much as I enjoyed experiencing the story.
Right.
So when The Last of Us is concerned, it's always been story first and game second. Okay. So that's the kind of person I am. This because I want to be a storyteller myself in the future, inshallah.
Yeah.
So the story of Last of Us is so well created, and I have watched literally every single video on YouTube there is on this game. Like I'm not joking. This is not a flex. This is just a fact.
Yeah.
I have seen every video
No, I
by the
agree with you
creators,
because
by Naughty Dog.
the
Yeah,
first Last of Us is the only game where when I beat the game, I had to sleep on the ending because I didn't know how I felt about that.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So for me, when I played the game, I actually didn't finish it off in like a regular amount of time. It literally took me 2 years to finish it because I just got so busy
Wow.
with it. Yeah. So I played until winter. I played until winter. The
Did you
start
like
of
play
winter.
accordingly like to the story, like because there are different seasons, right? So you stop, you played it one
I
season, then you
wish.
play the next season. Okay.
No, I wish. I wish. No. So when I started playing the game, I thought it was pretty cool. But the thing is, when I got the game, it was actually quite late. I got it during the PS4 when the
Okay.
remastered version came out.
So you played on PS4 then?
I played on PS4. I didn't play it on PS3. I didn't have a PS3.
Okay.
I had an Xbox, and I
Okay.
was
Yeah.
blasphemy. I know, but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you
so
converted.
when
Good.
I, oh yeah, of course, I'm totally
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
converted.
Yeah.
When I first played the game, I thought the prologue was amazing. But the thing is, I hadn't actually played enough games to realize how special this experience was. That's the fact. I
Yeah.
actually didn't know how amazing this game was because I had nothing to compare it with. Like I had played a lot of games, but most of it was like FIFA and like shit like that.
Yeah, because
So
you're like you said, you're more inclined towards the story, and you didn't really look at gameplay, and you're not a gamer per se, but the story was so
no,
good
but
from the
that's the
original
thing.
game.
Yeah, the thing is, when I played Last of Us, I actually didn't have a preference. I actually didn't. The story actually, I wasn't able to absorb the story the way everyone else would because I wasn't just interacting with it in the way I was supposed to. Because most of the games that I played until then were very arcadey types, like the
Yeah,
Batman
yeah,
Arkham Asylums and things like that.
yeah.
So I didn't know that this medium actually had such potential for storytelling. I just didn't know that,
No
right?
disrespect
And
to Batman Arkham Asylum, by the way. That's a good story too.
Arkham Asylum is an amazing story, but then
Yeah, but yeah, I
the
get what you're
the
saying.
the the catch of the game is that you're getting to play as Batman, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And truth be told, I mean, all three of the games, I don't think the story is the best aspect of the game. If you really start to think about it, it's fine. So, but I love the
A
game, by the
discussion for
way.
another day. Yeah,
Arkham
a
City is
discussion for
in my
another day.
top
Yeah,
10 games of all time. Not
yeah,
Arkham Knight. Fuck the Bat movie, but whatever.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. Not Arkham Knight. Not Arkham
We can
Knight.
talk
Arkham
about that
Knight's
some other
gameplay is amazing,
time.
but yeah, let's not get into that. We're here to talk Last of Us. Yeah.
Yeah. So it took me 2 years to finish the game because I started in one summer and I played until winter, and it was before the boss battle. And then I
Okay.
played the next half of it the next year. Okay, but as
Okay.
soon as I finished it, I was like, "Oh fuck, this was amazing." But I don't think I actually thought it was as amazing as anyone else would have if you had just sat through the whole 11 to 12 hours at once. So as soon
Yeah.
as I got in, I immediately played Left Behind, the DLC.
Yeah.
I thought it was spectacular. I was one of those people who were like, "Oh, lesbian." I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
I don't give
that's
a fuck.
really stupid. I don't get
I
that
don't give a
either. Yeah.
fuck. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. And then
Yeah.
immediately after that, so by this time, I actually realized like my preference is story first, game second. This was when I actually understood that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And at this point in time, now I know if you are a person, like to the viewer, if you are a person who hates what Last of Us 2 had to offer, you're going to hate what I'm going to say. But one of the people that actually inspired me to be the kind of person I want to be is Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann is very important to me. I feel like anyone who could deliver a story like Last of Us, the first part at least, does deserve your respect. Whatever he's done so far, The Last of Us One is a spectacular
Milestone.
story.
Yeah.
It's a milestone. But now to get into The Last of Us 2, The Last of Us 1 is not a bold story, it's not a creative story. It just does what it does to perfection. That's what it is. It's perfectly well acted. The mocap for the time is amazing. The graphics are amazing. The story is amazing, and the gameplay is perfectly serviceable. There's nothing wrong with the game. The Last of Us 2, being what it is, like Neil Druckmann is the person who's wanted to have his shackles removed from Naughty Dog's like sort of clutches from like Bruce Straley and all these people to say something bold for a long time. And I feel like I don't know if this is like pent up energy that he's had for so many years, because in Uncharted 2 he actually wanted to kill Elena off, right? I would have
Really?
agreed with that. Yeah, dude, she should have died. I mean, I love Uncharted 4 and I'm happy that she's there at the end. I'm actually really happy.
You know,
But
I don't know
when
much
I
about the Uncharted series because the first game, my first Naughty Dog game was Last of Us Part 1 on PS3. I never played any
right.
Uncharted games. And then I played Uncharted 4 directly. I played Uncharted 4 directly.
So
And
I
I tell
played
people that they get angry because
I
like they
played
didn't experience any of
Uncharted.
the
No,
first
no,
three
there
stories.
no. I, I'm not going to judge you because I played all the last Uncharted games in like 1 month this year. Because
Yeah.
I didn't have a PS4 before. I didn't get the chance, and they're all amazing. I love those
Yeah.
games, right? But they're not Last of Us.
Yeah.
And Neil Druckmann was not a creative director back then. Like his first foray into creative direction was The Last of Us Part 1. But in Uncharted 2, when there's a sequence where Elena has to die, and dude, if you have any degree of maturity in terms of how you engage the stories, you would say that she had to die there. Otherwise, there's literally no wait. And when it comes to when it comes to Joel dying, I feel like that's one of the best things about the game and the worst things about the game is that they call into question the idea of consequences.
Right. Yeah.
Your actions have consequences, and only The Last of Us world could have really made you reckon with that, because we get so used to
The hero making it out
experiencing
alive.
things. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when it comes to anything that's popular, right? Like take Star Wars or take Game of Thrones or
Or Marvel.
take Marvel. Everything that's uncomfortable is done with a little bit of a smoke screen. It's made a little easier for you to swallow. It's never the bitter pill that it's supposed to be. And The Last of Us 2 has no intentions of being like that. And as a person who studies a lot of literature and stuff, I'm not trying to be like snobbish or anything. Like, please, I'm just trying to like explain
No, please.
why.
We're here to have this discussion, so feel free.
Yeah, I'm just trying to explain why I would like it, right? So I'm going to be perfectly honest. Like you said, we discussed this before. You didn't like the Abby section of the game that much. Same. I actually didn't like the game until the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my experience with the game, and the reason for that is my background in literature and how much I enjoy anything that's like creative or like pushing the boundary of what a game or a medium could be. So when it comes to Abby's
Let's
the
say
first segment.
Abby's this thing for like we have a little section for Abby specifically.
No, the
but right
first.
Now,
No, the first. Joel's death specifically.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? Who is this bitch? I mean, what's happening? You know, I didn't realize her arms were that big in the first.
Oh my god! Yeah, no, like I think I've talked to all the guys, and everyone brings this up. We've all felt insecure about our biceps, dude, after watching Abby.
I don't care. Like, I didn't really care about it. Like I said, these are not things that bother me. Abby has her own problems. But the biceps is the least of them, honestly. So when I played the game, I actually didn't have any problem. I was like, who is this? That's it. Like, it slowed down.
Yeah.
It was already slow, and it slowed down again because now you're introducing this new character. And Owen's voice actor, I don't know what's happening. I find his voice a little annoying. So like, if there's any gripe that I have, like unnecessary gripe like everyone else has, it's that actually.
Yeah.
Because last was all of the voice actors are so amazing, like Laura Bailey and Victoria Baker, blah blah blah. This guy sounds annoying, but whatever. It was slow, but then the gameplay section was amazing. I mean, Naughty Dog has perfected the craft of like running away from people.
The swarm of zombies, and then the blizzard. That was like complete adrenaline. Yeah.
If you played Uncharted 3 and 4, you know that they've perfected this craft. Ever since Uncharted 3 they started doing this thing, they're perfect at that. Level design in this game is absolutely spectacular. So I love the sequence, and then when Joel came, I was like, holy shit, it's Jesus himself. Awesome, right? Because his hair was sexy. I was growing my hair.
Yeah,
I was like,
his hair.
Yes.
By the way, I don't want to interject, but since you mentioned the hair, right?
Please go ahead.
When I was cutting I had really like longer hair than this. So when I was cutting my hair, I was like YouTubing like how should I cut this hair? And then I found this video. This guy, he said Joel haircut from Last of Us Part 2. So I clicked on like okay, and one of the top rated comments was, I just got this hairstyle for myself. I've been getting a lot of attention by the ladies at the golf course.
Oh shit.
Like okay, but yeah, continue.
Unbelievable. No, I mean, I think the gameplay of that entire part until it cuts, right? It was
Yeah.
spectacular. Honestly, it was intense. The sound design's amazing. The
Yeah.
score was
Sound
good
design is
by
really good.
Mark Coelho. Mark Coelho, I think that was his name. Um, Spectacular stuff. I mean,
So that
the
scene where
death
like
itself.
when you actually get
Hmm.
inside the room, like Joel, Abby, and Tommy, they escape, and then they're
Yeah.
with Abby's crew, and the camera kind of pans 360
Oh,
degrees
beautiful. I love that. I love that.
because it
As a
shows
cinematography
you that
fan,
these two people are
it's beautiful.
outnumbered basically. And as the conversation goes, like
Yeah.
Tommy's at ease, and when she walks in,
Yeah. Tommy
and
doesn't
like I guess
realize.
Owen is the one who asks, like, "Are they? Is they?" And then she's just not responding. She just looks at Owen, and then she goes in, like,
Yeah.
"What the hell's happening?" And Tommy's upbeat, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you guys should come back for supplies and stuff." Like, what did you
Yeah.
say your name was? And he says Joel, and then you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay." And he's like, "You sound
Yeah.
like you've heard of
Exactly.
us before." And then she's like, "That's
Yeah.
because we have." Boom. And I'm just staring at that, like, what's going on?
This is what's happening. Yeah. See, I didn't realize this the first time I played it, but the second time I played, and this is one of the flaws, and I think they actually own up to it because, like I said, like Last of Us One, I literally saw all the good reviews, all the bad reviews, everything that the creators had to say about this game. So I know everything
Yeah.
about this game. And now, so with that knowledge, I'm trying to play again. So the second time I play this game, it's very obvious that a lot of it depends on convenience. So if there's a flaw of this game. The setup is very convenient. Like Abby meeting Joel doesn't make any sense. Okay, like
Yeah.
how did she find him? Very unlikely. So if there's anything you want to point out that is wrong with this game, it's that
Okay.
the
Yeah.
plot is too
That's true.
convenient. Okay, what isn't wrong is Joel saving Abby, because that's a lot of people's complaints about this game, that Joel is not the kind of
Really?
person who does it. What?
That people were against Joel saving Abby? I don't think that's out of his character at all. I think that's in his character.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. We would think that, but if you think back to The Last of Us One, Joel was someone who would always save the skin of the people he cares about and himself first, and would never risk
A stranger's life.
their safety. Yeah, just for a stranger's life. I understand that, but this is not the same Joel.
Yeah,
And
exactly. He's evolved. But that's
what?
the whole point of the whole
Yeah,
relationship with Ellie in the first game.
exactly. And not only that, even if you have not understood why, I do feel like by the end they would explain. If you are reading between the lines, I feel like you would completely understand why Joel would save Abby. And I think we can get to that towards the end. But
Yeah.
I'm just so if you I feel like it's justified. That action is justified.
Yeah. So you think,
And
okay, fine, Joel's death is justified, and it was a bold move, and that's what you appreciate a lot.
when the death happened, this is how I reacted to it. So I messaged my friend. We were both playing simultaneously. He started one day before, so he was already like pissed off. And see, this is the way I played with the game, right? I I wanted to make sure that I stepped on every particle of sand or every particle that they
Yeah.
had to offer. Okay,
Right.
scavenging is a joy in this fucking game. I want to absorb every story that they have to offer. So my gameplay was like 30 hours. My friend's gameplay was like 25. He didn't do much of that. I had no issues with it. So I was playing very slowly, and he was already riled up about the game, and I was like, oh shit, they killed Joel, right?
Oh,
He
he
was like,
told
how
you
do you
before
feel
you
about that?
experienced it?
No.
Okay.
No. If any of my friends spoil something as important as The Last of Us, they're not my friends anymore. That's just the kind of person I am.
Yeah,
Like,
you have a golf club right in the back of your
yeah,
bed,
I will have it
basically.
ready. I will kill you. Yeah, without a second thought. Okay, if someone
Yeah.
had spoiled Tenet for me, you're gonna die. I don't give a fuck.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when that happened, I only had one question. I was like, okay, you're gonna kill the main character of the first game. This is bold. This is audacious. But
Yeah.
can you? But I was still willing to go on this journey because I knew this was going to be a
Yeah.
long game, and I was like, are you going to be able to justify
Right.
this
Yeah.
death?
Yeah.
Okay, and I feel like if this game is able to justify this death, that's what I felt then. If you can justify the death, this is going to be a spectacular game. Period. That's
Yeah.
it. But at the same time, I knew like people are going to hate this because anytime a decision like this is made, people will fucking revolt. Think of Last Jedi with Luke Skywalker, which I am on the negative side, by the way. I don't believe they should have done that, right?
Yeah.
So every time there's like a pop culture phenomenon that subverts expectations. Good lord, I can't believe
Yeah.
using that term. Is
That's
used.
fine. Yeah.
No, I hate that term because I'm
Okay.
I'm so knee deep in like critique of like films and stuff. This term is used so much, I just hate it now. So yeah, they were subverting expectations with that, and everything hinged on whether they could justify that. And I can see why people were pissed off, right?
Yeah, that's
But
true. I guess why people were really mad is because in the beginning they weren't that mad. Like I know a lot of open-minded people. They're like, okay, like this is a bold decision. Like I'm still
it's a bold
ready to
decision.
give them a chance. But I guess why it caught everyone off guard is because of the marketing. Because in the
Yes.
trailer,
Oh
right?
my God. Yes. Please. The
Uh,
marketing of this game was
in the
absolutely
trailer,
disgusting,
like
dude.
even the second trailer that comes out when there's the hand over her mouth, Ellie's mouth,
Yeah.
and then she's like, "What are you
I think that
doing
was the
here?"
biggest crime of the
And
game.
then you show the first reveal of Joel. You thought I'll let you do this all alone, and then it cuts and says Last of Us Part 2. You're like, "Oh, okay." He doesn't die. Like he actually helps her at some point.
I can understand why you want to hide that Joel is going to die in the game.
Yeah,
I can understand that. Okay, I can understand that. But to deliberately manipulate the audience into thinking
yeah, that's
something
true.
completely different, you already know you're making a bold game. You already know you're making an audacious choice here. Why would you shoot yourself in the foot again by having this? Because I don't think like this is like we know marketing teams and creative teams are completely different, right? And they make the choice of like putting whatever they want in the trailer, and like the creative team does have like lesser
Some input.
of an input into that. So I'm assuming the
Yeah.
marketing team just thought that we weren't ready for a game without Joel. But the thing is, we were supposed to be ready anyway. We knew we were not getting a Joel game. We should have known that, or at the very least, we shouldn't have been told that Jesse was going to be Joel. My God, when I saw that scene, I was
Yeah,
ready to
it
throw my
was a
controller.
stab to the heart because it was like, well, they're not going to show Joel, so do we find Tommy this early? And no disrespect to Jesse, which we will get to by the way
I
soon.
would have preferred Tommy. I would have been happy with Tommy, man.
Really, Tommy? I
I would have
mean,
been
everyone would have been happy.
okay
So did
at
that
that
make you
point of the
hate
game.
Jesse?
Nah, I mean, I didn't care
But
about
you're
Jesse,
pissed.
and I
I
think
get it,
that's
you're pissed.
I was pissed.
Yeah,
I wasn't
everyone was
expecting
pissed.
Joel to be there, obviously, at that point in time,
Yeah.
because I knew Joel was dead. I was like, okay, it's going to be Tommy. That's cool. I'm fine with that. I like Tommy. I love Tommy. I don't care about Jesse. Okay, the
Uh,
audacity of putting him in place with Joel, like, what the fuck is this game?
I think
Screw this shit.
like just one last thing about the marketing is that, like you said, there's a difference between like hiding something and misdirecting. And the example that I would use is, I
Yes.
don't know if you recall, but when Infinity Wars trailer came out, right, the first
Yeah.
trailer,
Hulk.
and the end,
Hulk.
at the end, there's the shot with all
Hulk.
the Avengers
Yeah.
running on Wakanda and Hulk's in the
Yeah.
background. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is happening. And then in the movie, this guy has a conflict, Bruce Banner, and that scene is never shot. I wasn't pissed that that scene wasn't shot. Like I was surprised. I was surprised, like, oh, they don't have this in the movie. But including that scene in the
Yeah.
trailer didn't really like change anything for me because there's so many characters in that movie. It was not like a pivotal plot point or anything.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like I know there's, like you said, there's a marketing team and then there's a creative team, and I really wish that we could kind of get away with creative projects that only required you to put out one trailer. Because I'm more of that guy. Like, let's just put out a trailer with an announcement and that's it. Like a decent trailer with some
Yeah.
elements and that's it.
That's never
But I
going to
don't want any
happen.
story.
I wish that would happen, but that would never happen.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like
I
the
wish that
first
was
the
the case,
first
but it
reveal
won't
trailer
happen.
where she's playing the guitar and she's like, I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
I was in
That's
it.
already a
I was in
movie.
already. That's
Yeah.
enough, bro. That's enough. You're in.
You were in when they show the Firefly logo before they show the Naughty Dog paw, right? They show
Yeah.
the Firefly logo and then you think to yourself, that's not Last of Us Part 2. And then they show the Naughty Dog paw and they're like, okay,
And you're like,
that's not
oh
the Last of
man,
Us Part
fuck.
2. And then they show the guitar and they're like, that's not Last of Us Part 2. And then they show
And she's
everything.
playing, and I was like, oh, she's got a
Yeah,
tattoo.
she's
Oh
playing.
my god, look at the dead people. Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm in.
And then you see Joel's
I'm in.
silhouette, like, oh my God, Joel's here too.
Ooh.
What are you doing, kiddo?
Exactly.
I'm pre-ordering this
Oh.
game. That's what I'm doing.
That's it. Yeah, I'm in, bro. Yeah, I mean, totally.
But
Yeah, the
like
marketing
about
was a fucking shit show.
Joel's death, right? You're talking about how you and your friend were playing this simultaneously. My situation, my experience with this game is that because of the whole pandemic, I left everything I had. I just came with my passport and my backpack and with a few important documents. So I didn't take my PlayStation 4 with me here. So I actually started watching gameplay videos on YouTube. And then my friend, he had this game. He's like, listen, I'm going to beat this game and then I'm going to give you my PlayStation. Play it then.
Yes. I've told my friend the same thing. I'm like, please, I need to know what you think about this game. Yeah.
But the thing is that I had this fear that because leaks are already out, which I didn't get into, but I had this fear this game might be spoiled for me in some capacity. So I need to try watching some gameplay. So I was watching gameplay and like everyone had the same thing. Like the first thumbnail is like they're happy, like, the start of something fresh. And then the second thumbnail is like someone's weeping. I'm like, what the hell happened here? So when I started playing the game and then I watched Joel die. And the first thing I did is I closed the video. I texted my friend, I'm like, hey man, how many hours have you played of the game so far? He's like, I've played 3 hours. I'm like, okay, so you're done with the first hour. I was like, yeah, like, so we need to talk then. So then we had this
Yeah.
we had this grieving
Yeah.
session where we were talking about how did they kill
Yes.
Joel,
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, it
Yeah.
was a bold decision, and even though I was disturbed by them killing Joel, I was still on board. I'm like, okay, so this is like a revenge story now.
Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. What did
Yeah.
you think? Because these are important characters, right? Like not Maria, not Tommy. Maria you see like this for one sequence.
Yeah.
What do you think about Dina and Jesse in the first scene? Like
This
in the
was my
first
next question. My
part.
next question was, aside from Abby, what do you think about the new characters that was introduced? Literally, I was just
Yeah.
going to that document right now. So
See,
what
I
about
don't
you?
want to talk about the whole thing. I just want to talk
Yeah.
about like your initial impressions, because if Last of Us, the first part had done one thing perfectly, it's that their first impression of these new characters, every time they introduce them, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, right? Bill, fuck.
Yeah.
What's the two black dudes' name? I can't remember.
Sam
You
and
get what
Sam
I'm
and
saying?
someone else. Sam and someone else.
Sam and Henry. Sam and Henry. Sam and
Yeah.
Henry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone. Tommy and Maria, like the first time you see them.
Tess.
Marlene, like all of these, like they really test. Exactly. Everyone makes such an impression on you. What was your first impression of?
See, the thing with Dina is that we already saw her in the trailer, right?
Yeah.
So, and from the trailer, it was not like she had any personality. She was just like a love interest for Ellie. So I didn't have any. So that was like the first time I saw her, and because of the marketing, I just thought that Dina's gonna die anyway, you know. So I'm like, because every time they showed that there was this one TV spot where Ellie's playing the guitar and Dina's listening, and then they show a bracelet on her hand, and then Ellie has the bracelet and she's fighting people off. So like, well, Dina's gonna die. But when they started, so my impression was this person's gonna die. But one day before the game came out, I was like, man, but like, why would Ellie get, like, how can they as storytellers get us, the player, so pissed about someone they just introduced? Like, how does that work? Like, if I was a storyteller, I was thinking to myself, like, if I was a storyteller, I'd kill someone who's already been established off just to piss people off so they can get on this whole journey.
True.
So I was confused as to how much of an impact Dina would make. But the first impression, I thought Dina was someone like the official first impression would be the snowball scene, you know?
Yeah.
So
It is the first
she
one,
didn't seem like a very like pivotal character to me from that one scene. But as the game progresses, you see like she genuinely does care for Ellie. And I did like the character of Dina. But from the new characters that were introduced, my personal favorite was Jesse, actually.
Right.
I like Jesse because he seemed like someone responsible, you know, especially with the whole love triangle that was happening between the three of them. He was not a wimp. He didn't care. He respected the boundaries, and he was like, you know,
he's not a wimp. He's not a simp, bro. Yeah, that's
true. He's not
true.
a wimp, not a simp. That needs to be on a shirt, actually. Yeah, I should take notes down. Yeah, so yeah, merchandising. But yeah, so he was like, he just let people be, and he cared for his friends genuinely. He didn't like, he minded his own business, and especially when they're going out on patrol, right? He gave that speech. He's like, okay, you know, don't be a hero or anything like that. Take care of yourself. Like, okay, I like this guy, and especially when he comes back, even though that scene, I hated that scene because I thought it was going to be Joel, but I was like, oh, Jesse's here. That's cool. So I like Jesse the most from all the new characters I've introduced.
The new characters. For me, when I first played the game, I didn't have much to say about Dina. I thought she was. I'm trying to think of the right word. She was just a little short of compelling for me. Okay. And I have this problem, you know. So if you're gonna do an SJW character that's meant to be SJW, do it right. Okay. Write a good character. Okay, because you're giving more cannon fodder for people who are against this kind of stuff when you write a character like that. Okay, don't, because always the complaint is that, oh, Captain Marvel was just created for a feminist issue. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And then they'll be like, yeah, see, look how Wonder Woman never was not about a feminist thing, you know, like that character's doing about. So write the characters well so that people can just actually jump on board, not to make it comfortable for the people who are against this, but just write good characters because the story demands it. And The Last of Us, if anything, demands amazing characters, right? Because that's their thing, you know. Last of Us has amazing characters, and I felt like Dina was good, but she wasn't Last of Us good.
Really? Like even after beating the entire game, or just talking about the first?
Even after beating the entire game, because no. See, I don't judge until the entire game is over, right?
Okay.
So for Dina specifically, I thought she was good and she was cool and she was very capable, which I was glad. Like there's no like dame in distress sort of situation, right? She's very capable of herself. Even when she was pregnant, she saved Ellie like what, twice,
Yeah.
thrice
Yes.
maybe. So
Yes.
I love that. In fact, like Ellie doesn't even save Dina even once, as far as I can remember. So um, I
No,
mean,
she does, man. Like when the whole
she does.
the chase scene is happening before the pregnant announcement happens, when she's chasing and she pushes her, and then she starts shooting the zombies. I
Oh yeah,
guess.
she hits the yeah. The first thing
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
is you hit the yeah. I just played that like right now. Um, See, for me, it's like she was good. She was a good character, but it does feel like by the end of the game that the her main sort of purpose in the game was to sort of give her that ultimatum at the end, which we can get to later. But it felt like
Yeah.
that was what I was driving towards, and not anything else. And I felt the same thing with Jesse. In fact, like I didn't even care about Jesse throughout the game. And it was only the
Really.
second time when I played, I was yeah. So when I played the second time and I started playing, I'm like, fuck man, Jesse deserved better. What the hell is this shit? Like he's a good character. He's
Yeah.
cool. He's
He's
better
the
than
cool
he's more
guy.
responsible. He's a cool dude. And he had nice hair. Also, I like the mullet.
Always a plus point. Like, yeah, he
Yeah,
pulled it off.
exactly. Yeah, I like that mullet, man. I wish I had a longer face. I would have done the same hairstyle. But yeah, that's my impression on the main characters. I mean, the new characters.
Okay. Okay. So we covered the new characters right now, and
Yeah.
the remainder of this discussion, we're gonna broadly split it into three parts. We're gonna talk about Ellie's journey. We're gonna talk about Abby's
Okay.
journey till the convergence
Yeah.
point, that is, and convergence point
Yes.
obviously is the theater encounter, and then
Yeah.
the ending. Okay. So
Yes.
let's start with
Yes.
Ellie's journey. Uh,
Hmm.
I after Joel's death, essentially the journey begins with her discussion with Tommy, where she's telling him that, yeah, I'm out for blood now because they just killed Joel.
Yeah.
If either of us were
Yeah.
down, he'd be halfway through Seattle right now. And
I
Tommy's
love
just
that
trying to
line.
diffuse, yeah, if he's just trying to diffuse her without her letting her know that he's already planned to, avenge Joel. And just
Yes.
that whole, the scene with Ellie visiting Joel's house. Talk to me about that scene.
Okay. First I want to talk about when Joel visits Ellie. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, the
that. Oh
beginning.
my god. Yes. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
after he talked to
dude.
Tommy for the first time, like when he tells Tommy that I saved her.
If I ever were to lose
Yeah,
you.
okay, let's talk
Okay.
about, yeah.
So I was. I'm not gonna talk about it too long. Okay. I'm gonna try to keep it succinct. But when I first saw it, I was like, okay, you know what? I feel some type of way about this. Okay, cool. She's gonna learn to play the guitar. Sounds good. And then every time I saw Joel after that, after the death, I was
Yeah.
like, every time I thought about that scene, I would start to cry. And I'm like, fuck, man, bro. Fuck.
It's a good thing you mentioned this, because like when you play the first Last of Us, like they have that intro and then the title shows up, The Last of Us, which kind of sets the
Yeah.
tone and makes you feel all these weird
Yeah.
emotions. Like in the first game,
Yeah.
it's Sarah's death, and he's like
Yeah.
holding her and he's weeping, and then the screen goes to black and then it says Last of Us, and you're like, this is
That is in my top three
I'm
scenes
getting
of
away from
gaming
my
period.
physics tuitions to play this.
Yeah.
Like I
Yes.
want to be happy. And in The Last of Us Part 2 though, the guitar thing happens, and even though there's friction, right, it's a good opening, because he's teaching her guitar and there's like love there. But for some
Yeah.
reason, like with the music that's playing in the background, right, when the title shows up, you're like, there's something bad is going to happen right now. Like this is,
Yeah, very much so.
yeah.
Very much so. The thing about The Last of Us One is that it sets everything up with this sort of laser focus, right? Like a good beginning, like your first line in a story or your first scene in a movie, or like your
Yeah.
first sort of gameplay sequence in a game has to set up every single thing. And if it's a
Yeah.
story focused game, then you have to do it right. Yeah, like a game like what's it called? I don't feel like a game like Witcher 3 does this that well, honestly. I mean, okay, it does set all the characters and it sets the themes and everything, but The Last of Us One does it with this laser focus. In like 15 minutes, you're just crying on the corner,
Yeah,
right?
I,
When
I
you're
agree with you.
done.
Like the 10 minutes of any, like whatever it's a game or a movie, it has to grip you. Otherwise you're just
Exactly.
not into the whole thing. Yeah. So
But The Last of Us 2 does it in a different way. I don't think it has the same sort of focus, right? It just doesn't have the inciting incident, right? And it really, like, if you think about it, it does set it up in a very interesting way, because this is a game that's going to meander a bit. It is going to ask a lot of patience from you, and it's also a game that's filled with this sort of melancholy like underneath all the violence
Right.
and like the bad thing that's happening. And this game sets it up perfectly. And we're not even going to talk about the moth because the moth, fuck, what imagery. But I'd like to talk about that at the end. So
Oh,
I
I
think
don't
a
have
lot of the
any idea
things,
about the moth imagery, by the way. So this will be like news to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I will talk
But
to you about it when we
we'll
get a
get to
chance.
that. But
Yeah,
another interesting observation that just want to ask you is that Neil
yeah,
Druckmann himself said this, is that when he was being interviewed about this game, Last of Us Part 2, he said the first
yeah,
game is about love and this game is about
yeah,
hate. But
yeah.
the interesting thing is, to make a game about love, you have to first
Yeah,
introduce hate.
sufferers.
And to make a game
Yes,
about hate, you have to first introduce love.
yes.
So in Last of
Yeah,
Us Part
very
1,
true.
Joel is this guy who's like really bitter because he hates the world for taking the things he loved the
But
most.
taking away,
And
yes,
then the
very
game
much.
kind of evolves into a game about love because of this bond he kind of develops with Ellie. And this game
Yeah,
starts off with love, with him, okay, I'm going to teach her to play guitar. And we found peace right now. We've been through
yeah,
we've been through chaos, we found peace. And it's going to be a good life, hopefully. And
yeah,
then it turns into
yeah.
this journey of hate. So that's something interesting that I thought, the way they kind of went with the whole
Did
story.
you when you went to Joel's house, right? So I did not know this. I thought I explored every single inch of the house, but apparently I
The
didn't
book?
because I didn't encounter his jacket from the first game. When
Really?
you I did not.
No
So I did not
way.
know about that. Yeah, I did not know about that. I saw it in a video and I was like, what the hell? I missed this.
Oh, I
Oh,
spent 30 hours on this.
oh, like it was so annoying. But then when I saw the sequence, I started crying again. Yeah, yeah. Spoiler alert. Okay, I unapologetically cry when the story asks me to. I don't care.
You're
I
not
will
going to
cry.
find any toxic masculinity in this discussion.
No, no, none of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
none
cool. That's
whatsoever. I
cool.
don't care.
That's
I
cool.
don't care if I cry. If they're doing a good job, I'm crying. What's the problem here? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So when I first saw the scene, I was like, dude, it's very real. People do that, right? When
Yeah.
you lose someone, you cling on
You
to
sniff
all of these
the
senses.
belongings and stuff. Yeah, that was a sad scene,
It
man.
was
Like,
so
because she's crying while she's at the grave and she's walking, and then like she's kind of shaking her hands before she holds the doorknob. And the thing about that
yeah,
scene is that why it kind of is like salt to the wounds is because, in the first Last of Us, we don't know anything about Joel as a background. We only in the conversations between Ellie and Joel he gives glimpses. Like she's asked him, "What did you want to be when you grew up?" And he's like quiet for a bit. He's like, "A singer." And then you're looking at
yeah.
Joel like, Joel a singer, and then even
Oh,
when he's,
you.
yeah,
Yeah,
you, and like you're like the
yeah.
saddest person ever. And then when you go to his house, you see he makes his own guitars, he carves these wood animals, and
Yes.
he was like,
There's so
you
much stuff going
humanize this
on.
guy. Yeah.
Did you know? Did you know? So Ellie likes space, right? Did you see this? On his side table, there's a book about space. Did you see that?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Like I didn't notice the first time, but when I read a comment, and I was like, this is so sad because we'll get to the flashbacks, but in an attempt to kind of bond with her even more, he was learning about
Yeah,
space for dummies.
yeah. But when you think about what's actually going on in his life at that point in time, he has no reason to read that book, but he's doing it so anyway. And it becomes even sadder, right? If it
Oh
was
yeah, that's
in that
true.
for
No,
like he
but how do
wasn't.
you know? Like, but this he probably read it obviously in the events of after like the opening scene. So he did have a reason. Like Ellie and him did not have friction at that point, right?
No, but I mean, the friction wasn't resolved at the end of the game, right? It wasn't completely resolved.
But it wasn't like she still was like putting it behind her. Like up until the birthday,
Yeah,
don't ruin the birthday memory for me, okay? Up until the birthday
I'm
memory,
not.
they were on good terms. Even though there was no resolution, she was like, "Oh, okay." So he probably must have read it to get to know her then, I guess.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that he's still reading the book, and they have not talked for 2 years at that point in time in the game. So
How do you know? How
why
do you know
is he
he's still
reading
reading
it?
it? Maybe it's just on his desk.
Who keeps something on the side table if they're not going to read it? That's impossible. I have a bottle of water there because it's going to be something I'm going to use in the night.
So you're saying that even after
So
the whole fallout happened, he was still reading the book.
you're still reading the book. That makes it sadder. I like that. I like that it's sad. I want to have sad boy hours. I like it.
Oh man.
So yeah,
Oh, damn.
yeah,
This game must have been a treat for you, huh? Like, oh, here's a sad moment. I could cry my eyes out now. Oh, here's a sad moment. I
yeah,
could cry my eyes out. Like your crying quota, basically.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
But yeah, I did. I was going to talk to you about the book thing, and I thought it was a bittersweet detail. And I wanted Ellie to wear the jacket then. I was like, oh man, Ellie, like with the damn jacket now.
That's a bit. I feel that's a bit on the nose for even Last of Us, but Last of Us 2 does do a lot of.
Well, I like the jacket. I like Joel's jacket, and I have the same jacket, and I'm kind of pissed because I left that jacket back in UAE, and I couldn't even wear it. So I was like,
yeah.
But yeah. So then Tommy leaves the letter, and then what's his wife's name? Maria.
Maria.
Right? Maria. She's like, okay, yeah, you guys go ahead and just get my stupid husband back, and then you just like.
Yeah.
I feel like, because Joel's obviously dead, how are they going to carry this dynamic that the first game carried between Joel and Ellie? Like, will Ellie and other supporting characters be able to carry that dynamic? And obviously, it wasn't to that extent, but I thought it was a pretty good dynamic between all the other characters that helped progress the story. What did you think about that?
I don't think this is what I like. Okay, this is what I really like about what Rockman did, right? And the whole creative team, like Haley Gross as well, she's also the co-creator in the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't trying to cast out lightning in a bottle again. This isn't like Deadpool 1 compared to Deadpool 2. They weren't trying to recreate the magic because they knew that was not going to happen. So they didn't bother with it. They were like, it is what it is. We have to move on from that story. Joel has nothing more to say in terms of like narrative development. So we can kill him off. And we're not going to try to create another Joel and Ellie. But they technically do that if you think about it.
They do that, yeah. We'll get to that.
Abby, yeah. But they don't try to do it with Ellie. And I'm fine with that. Honestly, I had no issues with it. I honestly, the one thing that I like more than the first game is that the AI makes so much more sense this time around.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah. One point I want to bring up with the AI is that, and the same guy who gave me his PlayStation 4, he's like, listen, Shawki, when you play the game, don't kill the owners before you kill the dogs, okay? I'm like, why? He's like, because I tried it, I killed the owner, and then the dog starts weeping. I'm like, that's not, they didn't do that in the game. And then I tried it, and then, after I killed he's like, oh, who's there? And I shoot the owner, and then I can hear whimpering noises. I'm like, oh my God, Bogo.
Yeah, it is, exactly. It's so sad.
But but that's more of a, like, okay, actually it is a story thing, but more of a gameplay thing than a story thing, right? The AI.
No, for me, why I'm saying that it's good is because, I'm talking about the AI for our partners, right? Our.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry.
They show how capable they are. It's not like a said thing. This time around, which I really like. I really like that because there've been so many times where they've gotten me out of a bind because I was playing at the hardest difficulty. So there was so many times I'm just like running away and then Dina's like. I'm like, oh, thank you, babe.
Yeah, and like when you're not able to finish off a clicker or something, she finishes it off. Or like when you're stealth killing one, like you plan out when they're clickers. You're like, okay, I'm gonna take this one out first, then that one.
Yeah.
But by the time you kill one, Dina's already taken the other one out.
Yeah, I was like, dude, that's so cool. Exactly. Like that's that whole like Ludo narrative dissonance thing coming into question and all that. But I don't think they were trying to sort of create the beauty of
the recreate the same relationship that Joel and Ellie had.
Because I don't think it would ever work. But I do think that they should have done something along those lines for Dina and Ellie because I don't enjoy the fact that their relationship was already set in stone pretty much at the start when the game begins, when they reach Seattle. And all of that is in the journal where you see that the relationship, the bonding is happening. And I feel like some of that.
But don't you think it was though developing because like especially when they go to that, I don't know, was it a cathedral that they go to or church? When they talk about spirituality or religion.
Synagogue.
Yeah, there. So there are brief moments, but I guess like you said, nothing was going to kind of fill the void that Joel left, but it served its purpose.
No,
I guess. It didn't bother me. That's what I'm saying.
No, it didn't bother me, but like I think that's the one thing that I feel like that's that missing element, right? I feel like if they're going to have that romantic connection, I feel like romance in stories is more fun in the aspect before it becomes a whole-blown relationship. That's the reason you don't actually see so little of Joel and Ellie when their relationship has been cemented. The whole beauty of The Last of Us is the connection that actually has to form and
the
all
build up,
the
journey,
go through before that. Something similar in the same way, like Dina's and Ellie's, it doesn't follow any of those protocols.
Okay, because you're like it's already established, so
it's established. So they're going to protect you. There's no conflict.
But I kind of in a way I kind of like the established aspect also because I feel like when a relationship has already been established, right? because people get kind of tired of seeing like, oh, how, two people who are romantically involved with me. But when a relationship has been established, it's kind of like, okay, now that it's been established, you can focus on friction and conflict, because that's a lot of that happens once the relationship has been established, which we'll get to. And I kind of like that, but I see where you're coming from though. Moving on to the birthday flashback.
Oh my god, I was just about to play that, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna hold on.
Do you have it running in the background, by the way?
No. I was playing like just before I spoke to you. Like
I was like, okay, the birthday flashback. He plays it. Okay, wait here. I play the game. Okay, yeah, it's fresh. But, what an endearing memory.
So,
and the thing, just one last thing.
No, go ahead.
What Naughty Dog does is that, because Ellie's character is kind of losing her mind throughout this game in her journey. Like, she's becoming more aggressive. She's taking lives. And every time you kind of question, like, oh, Ellie, like, what else happened to you? They kind of like force this memory to kind of remind you that, yeah, we're on this path because he died.
Yeah.
And like, okay, then you shake your head like, okay, I'm here. But yeah, the birthday thing.
Let me ask you a question before we get to the birthday thing.
Yeah.
I'm just asking you in general. Were you sold on Ellie's journey, like from the beginning? Were you sold on it? Were you like, yeah, this makes sense. This is something that,
like, in the sense that she's out for revenge?
Yeah, and like even towards the rest of the game, because I didn't know that this was a criticism of people. I always thought all the criticism was on the other character, the secondary protagonist that we have.
Yeah.
But a lot of people actually prefer Abby over Ellie. A lot of people.
Really?
Right? Really, I'm not joking here. I mean, these are all reviewers. Okay, I don't know anyone personally. I know
for
the fact that if you
people who like the game,
no, even people who don't like the game, they also said that they weren't sold on. No, it's not like they prefer Abby or Ellie. They just said that Ellie's journey, like especially as her convictions get more and more sort of crazy. I can't think of a better word now. But as she starts to get more and more unhinged with her actions, people are like, I'm not sold on this anymore, and they sort of like tune off.
No, I think it's like, I think Ellie was completely justified, like in the sense where because she was going mad, man. Like if you kind of like just take a order of things that she's gone through. She lost the girl she liked when she was a kid. Then she almost got raped in the first game. Yeah.
She lost a mom and a secondary
mom. She lost a secondary mom, and she almost got raped, and now she lost her father figure. So it's kind of justified. Like the mindset is like, I'm out for blood, and nothing's gonna stop me. And I didn't question that. The only thing is that I'm trying not to talk about the entire journey as a whole right now, because there are a lot of things that happen towards the end that I want to get to. But she's conflicted though, throughout the journey. It's not that she's like, yeah, okay, oh, you killed Joel, so I'm going to kill you. Like, you see Ellie kind of stepping out of her comfort zone in terms of how aggressive she can get. And one of the first indications of that, even before the interrogation scene with Nora, is when you go to Nora, right? And there's this person playing the PS Vita.
Yeah.
And then
what game was they playing? I forgot.
Hotline Miami.
Hotline Miami. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I like the soundtrack. That's right. Hydrogen was playing.
So. Yeah.
She was just playing a video game. I thought to myself, like, this is something that people my age do. So now she's dead. But there's a conflict within Ellie, and I always like it when I see a character being internally conflicted. So I didn't question her journey, but we'll talk about the ending though, because I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about the ending. I just wanted to ask like what your opinion was. I wanted to know which camp.
Yeah, no, I could get where she's coming from. I didn't agree necessarily with a lot of things that she did, like how brutal she was, but I was like, you know what? I'm with you on this because Joel's dead, so I'm with you on this.
Yeah. So the what's the scene?
The birthday thing.
The birthday scene, right? Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
The birthday scene happens to be one of the it's I love the fact that there's no gameplay in it, like in a sense, in terms of traditional gameplay. Right? Yeah. I love the fact that they were able to give us like 15 minutes or something, a little more than that, of just walking around, doing absolutely nothing, playing as Ellie. And in doing so, they really gave Joel's death some meaning, because the pain of a death isn't in seeing him die, but it's in your recollection of the person and knowing that they're not going to be there with you in the rest of the journey, right? And it's so realistic in that depiction. And I have never felt more upset about someone's death than I did when I was playing that scene. Right.
Yeah.
I have died. I have cried over a lot of deaths, right? Because I've watched so much stuff, right? Like Iron Man's death was so traumatizing, but it was a heroic death. It was a heroic death, right?
Sacrifice. It was a sacrifice. Yeah.
It was a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Joel's death. This is something
Yeah.
another my friend had brought up. He's like, why
Yeah.
did he get a hero's death? But the Last of Us
That's
world doesn't
true.
have heroes. There are no heroes here.
It's a good thing you mentioned
No one gets that.
like he got a dog's death basically, you know, because
You got a dog's
he
death,
went out
yes.
he went like a champ though. He's like,
Yeah, it's like,
you know who
just
I
do
am?
what you
Like,
have to, or whatever he says.
like, yeah, whatever you. Why don't you say whatever speech you have rehearsed and get this over with?
Oh, that's so badass. Yeah.
No simp, no wimp.
No wimp, bro. He ain't no wimp. Exactly. So
Yeah, but you're absolutely right in the sense that a person's death is all the more impactful, not because of just the death itself, but when you recollect those memories and they hit you all the more differently now because of their absence.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it felt like I actually lost someone that I knew, like legitimately, like someone that was close to me. It felt like I had lost them, and to think about them was it was so sad. Like I wasn't crying or anything, but there was
Gut
this
wrenching.
pain somewhere between my gut and my stomach. It was haunting, you know. And the only death that I can recollect in recent memory that hit me that hard was Chadwick Boseman himself. So like nothing has hit me that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a beautiful scene. It is one of my all-time favorite scenes. You know what? Last of Us has a lot of those. Like I'm gonna just be like, oh, it's my favorite scene of all time. A lot of them. Okay, but this one in particular,
I also feel like, you know, we got a glimpse of Joel being happy again. Like he had all these walls that he put up.
Yeah.
And then because the first thing in this, he's like, okay, you're building your calluses for the guitar. Like, oh, he's teaching a guitar. And then the river thing, like, you know, you're peeking and he pushes her.
Oh man, it was so
like,
cute.
That was so cool.
Yeah,
and then she pushes
so
him back. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then just the scene in the spaceship where he just whips out the cassette.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And
that was somehow.
How'd I do?
Have you played Left Behind? Have you played Left Behind?
I watched gameplay of it. Yeah, I watched gameplay. I didn't play it.
Yeah, so you know, like Ellie has something similar with Riley, right? Where she makes her play the game and she has her eyes closed, and then she sees that, like, they show the exact sequence how it happens. So they do the same thing here, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, Riley's like, okay, the arcade machine doesn't work, but close your eyes, I'll narrate the gameplay. So like Ellie's able to imagine exactly how it would be to
she's
play.
immersed.
And this exact way. Yeah. So the same way, like she's in that spaceship. Yeah, so they sort of call back into it, like she like is in the spaceship now.
Yeah,
like
she's like immersing herself, and yeah, that's so. But that was so cool, beautiful. Man. Like, and then he says,
so
"Did I do okay?
How did I do?
I was like, welcome to Earth. You know, I was watching this streamer, okay, this streamer. So he's like, I discovered this guy just because of Last of Us 2, because he has all these really animated reactions. He's African American, so he's like, he saw this like, hey, welcome to Earth. You know Berlizzi, this guy. You know Berlizzi? That's the only
No.
So it's like, hey, welcome to Earth. I was like, man, Joel, you clean as a bitch. It's like,
oh man.
But it was a beautiful scene, you know, and then the contrast also, like when you're playing as Ellie in the real world, like in the current timeline, it's all dark and blue and stuff, and then it's bright and it's sunny and the dinosaurs there. Like, it was a beautiful scene, man. Beautiful scene.
It was. I loved climbing the dinosaur. That was amazing.
On the subject of flashbacks, the next flashback that we get is the bloater flashback, which is when she's out with Tommy sniping. She's a little older, and right now those seeds of her doubt are kind of germinating, basically.
Doubter,
what happened, and she's older. Like, her life is kind of like, I guess she's in the same spot in life, and she's like, okay, I'm trying to find a purpose, and I don't have answers to those questions. But they're still on good terms, but there's a lot more friction right now, especially like through that one dialogue where Joel is like, hey, did you get new strings for your guitar? And she's like, I didn't know I was supposed to. I'm like, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. He's like, oh, why don't we go together right now? There's a music store there. And then the interaction's going well. And then the bloater thing happens. You're like, you know, because it's a scripted event where Ellie gets hurt and you think the bloater's going to kill you. And Joel just takes a machete and then chops the living crap.
Oh man, like, what a savage!
Full dad mode.
What a savage! Like, he was a savage. Yeah. That was amazing. It was so good to see like Joel in his prime, man. Honestly, it was,
Joel's prime as a 50-year-old man. right?
Oh yeah, what a boss! What a boss!
Yeah.
I don't even want to know what he was like before the events of the first game. Honestly, I don't even want to know.
He was a
Like
guy who
what a
played guitar, So you never know. Listen, guys who play guitars, who are learning guitar, you never know. Maybe when they turn 50, they use the machete really well. So ladies watching this, you never know. Okay, now that I
Shawki
point
could
this in.
protect you.
Huh? Yeah,
Shawki
Shawki will
could
protect
protect
you.
you.
Yeah,
He ain't
especially in
no
the
wimp.
pandemic right now.
He ain't no
No,
wimp.
well, that's my next podcast, by the way. No wimp, no simp. Let's talk about that. Okay. But yeah, and the interaction's going well. And he's like, "Oh, I think Jessie has a crush on you," and she hasn't opened up about her sexuality to Joel yet. And he's like, "Oh, I've got a
Yes.
pretty good eye about these things." And he's like, "Not with this one."
No, you don't.
And
No,
then
you
the
don't.
whole the tone shifts when they find that couple, and then they
Yeah.
finally have like a mini confrontation where she's like,
Yes.
"I've never met another infected. Have you?" And then he's quiet,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Yeah.
"They could be hiding it. You do." And then it just kind of escalates in the story. But she's like, she was genuine. She's like, "I had so many questions. Why did you pull me out of there?" And he's like, he continues the line. He says, "There was no cure." And I'm just watching that scene and I got pissed off more because in the trailer, that shot, right, is
Yes.
older Joel. But in this, he's like a
Yes.
young Joel.
Yes.
I was like,
So
oh
much
man.
manipulation. Like, did we
Yeah.
see anything real in the trailer? To be honest, yeah. Let me tell you something about this. About these particular scenes, right? Every scene that Troy Baker is in this game, he is spectacular. Like he is spectacular. Like I'm not even getting into the gameplay aspect of this. Not the gameplay, sorry, the game aspect of this, where the
Yeah.
mocap, the face work, the graphics, you could see the pose on the skin.
Yeah,
Like
that's actually
every
very true.
wrinkle.
That's very true.
Oh my god. And not only that, the scenes, the dialogue is so solid. It's so solid.
Yeah.
It's so heavy, right? Every word is said with so much, is written with
Conviction.
so much care. Yeah, and you can hear like there was no other way, and
Yeah.
it's so final where the way he says it. It's so final. It's amazing. Joel is he has so much conviction in hiding that truth that not
Yeah.
for 1 second does he think that if he had just told it to her when it first happened, things might not be as bad as they are right now. It just
Yeah.
might not be.
Yeah.
But there's so much strength in that.
Yeah. So that happens, and then I'm not talking much about the current timeline of Ellie because there's not much to say right now because she's taking out guards one by one. There are a few glimpses and like there's not much happening right now because it's still the same stuff. The only thing I would say is that when Dina and Ellie first see, I guess, the first victim of the people who showed up and killed Joel, that's when they kind of recap the interrogation technique that Joel used in the first game, where it's like, okay,
Yes.
you ask one person a question and you make the other person write it down. And
Yeah.
so that was pretty cool. But moving on to one of the main things that happens, because I don't know, there's not much to talk about the whole Jessie showing up all of a sudden. We spoke about that. There's not much to talk about Dina's pregnancy. She's pregnant. She still cares for Ellie and she's stuck with her. But that brings us to the first scene where kind of Ellie steps outside her comfort zone, which is Nora's interrogation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene.
So there's one. So this is something that. So one of the reasons that you may not like the game may also be one of its strengths, depending on how you decide to see it. Okay. And I feel this is the actual experimental aspect of the story, aspect of this game, and that it is where they finally call it to question the complicity that you have in the actions of your player, right? And I feel like this is the problem with this game. It's not a problem with this game. It's just a problem with the medium in general. Like now you have to throw hordes of enemies at you for there to be a game. Otherwise, it could just be a long-running TV series, right? So you when people play, they sort of tend to ignore what happens during the gameplay aspect and uh, keep the cutscenes separate. Like that's like a separate story, and this is like a different thing,
It's
right?
not like
And
it
this
doesn't
is,
flow
of
organically.
course,
Yeah, that's what some people do.
yeah, this is the academic term ludonarrative dissonance, very commonly thrown around. Do you know what ludonarrative dissonance is?
No, I don't. That's why I remove my glasses. Yeah.
So ludonarrative dissonance is where you have like things happening during the gameplay that make no sense with the characters. So like in Uncharted 4, for example, Nathan Drake is this like amazing like stand-up dude who's like a family guy, and
Okay.
he cares for his brother, but then he's also killing like 100, 200 people a day, right? And how is he doing that without acknowledging these deaths
Also,
at
and so
all?
like there's no like this the conscience, the character doesn't like flow between the cutscenes and the gameplay.
Yeah. So the gameplay doesn't make sense with the story, basically, with the
Yeah.
characters, right? So this is, I feel like one of the it's one of those AAA titles that actually questions it very heavily, keeps it right in the focus of the game. But by doing that, you're actually, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. It starts to make less sense than it did in the first game. Because in the first game, they were just like, yeah, these people are like violating you and you have to kill them. It's fine. Joel is a bad dude.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that. It's cool. No problem. Here, they're trying to like talk about like humanity and like revenge and all these things. And then you come and and when you realize when like, they come and ask you to kill Nora, right? It's not a cutscene. It's a quick time event, right?
Yeah, it's a
So she
quick time
starts
event.
hitting the
And
first two times,
a lot of
and then
people like they didn't press any buttons because they're like, are you gonna make
yeah,
me do this? And like, yeah, you
yeah,
have to do
right.
this.
So that's the thing. Yeah, so that's the
Yeah.
thing, because you don't think about how many people you kill, but if you are trying to think about how much you kill, right? Ellie's convictions start to lose some of their strength, because if you
Yeah.
think about it, she's killed so many people. Abby just killed one person in her efforts to exact revenge of Ellie's community. She didn't ravage Jackson. She didn't do anything. She just killed Joel and then she fucked off. In fact, she could have killed Tommy. She chose not to. She could have
And
killed
Ellie,
Joel.
yeah.
Abby.
That
Sorry,
was another
I'm
like
forgetting
kind
her
of
names.
like suspense that people were left in, like, because when one of the guys, I don't Manny, I think, right? That guy, he shows up
Yeah,
to kill Ellie, and then Owen's pushing him back. I'm like, oh, why are they sparing them?
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. This is one of those few games that actually questions that. I don't know if I'm explaining this concept, but I feel like there are better people who can do it on the internet.
No, I get what
But
you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
in, in essence, this is one of those games that actually calls that into question, because Naughty Dog has been criticized about this for a long time, especially with the
Yeah.
Uncharted series. They've always questioned, is like, does this make sense to you? Because
Yeah.
the only time they actually question it is in one of the games, and it's like literally like a throwaway dialogue. It's like, how many people did you kill today? 200. That's it. It's nothing
Like
else. It doesn't
that.
mean
There's
anything. It's
like
not
a
brought
laugh
up again.
track
Yeah,
basically,
it's
and
like,
then
we're not dumb. We're not dumb. We know what's happening. We know how it can be. But this game
yeah,
actually questions it, right? Because when Ellie takes off her shirt, you see all the bruises and all. They sort of
yeah.
like,
You see the scars and bruises, and then she's like,
yeah,
just the tiny details. Because when after she beats up Nora, and she comes
yes,
back to the thing, like her hands are shaking, and she's like, her
exactly.
voice is stammering, and they're like, Jesse, and you're like, so where the devil have you been? Like, yeah, I kind of I did something for the first time. And then she removes the shirt, and I guess that's the first time also where she's kind of questioning her journey, and she's like, I don't want to lose you too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the point I'm trying to make here is that in in sort of acknowledging the ludonarrative dissonance that happens in games, that you kill so many people but it doesn't affect your character, in
Yeah.
acknowledging that, they're sort of also weakening their argument here, because you killed 100 to 200 people and entering that hospital, okay, but this is the death that sort of makes it difficult for you. This is the death because you're
But
brutalizing her, especially.
she didn't extract any information out of those things, right? Out of those other people. Like here, she had to
I
beat the
think
crap out of her.
no, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying uh is a brutal death more haunting than a regular
Okay.
death, where you could probably
Yeah.
use a dynamite arrow or use a
Yeah.
silencer
So
pistol
like,
or use a shotgun and literally
how
destroy the
heavy is it
legs.
going to be on your
That,
conscience? Because you just killed like 10 people versus like
yeah,
you shoot 10 people versus you take a pipe and beat the crap out of one person. So
yeah.
why is it that the
So
10 people didn't affect you, but this one person did? I
exactly,
guess, yeah, I get what you're
yeah.
saying. Yeah.
But this is the thing. This is my argument about this, right? This is an argument that's been brought up, so I'm just pointing it out to you, just to show that I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. That I'm
Okay.
trying to
Yeah.
acknowledge the flaws of the game, right? But I feel like that's a good thing, because if someone is finally going to question this moving forward, then this can be eliminated in the future, and we could have a game where the gameplay actually makes sense with the cutscenes. So someone had to push that envelope. So maybe Rockstar is going to figure out a way to do it. If anyone is, it's going to be Rockstar. Let's just be honest. Rockstar is probably going to do it. So if someone's going to question that, finally, like as a game studio, as a creator, then we could actually have some new kind of story where it makes sense for people, where the
That's
gameplay
a very
doesn't
interesting
doesn't
perspective.
clash.
Yeah, I never heard
Yeah,
of that. That's pretty interesting.
I'm glad they pushed the boundary with that.
Okay,
So yeah.
so Nora's interrogation is done. Then right after that scene where she's talking to Dina, we get the kind of like the one of the primary flashbacks where you're at the hospital now
Yes.
as Ellie.
Oh,
Man,
oh
when
my
when it
God.
first started, right, when the screen goes black and you see the Firefly Hospital and you see Ellie walking, like young Ellie, I'm like, oh crap, man, what is this? Like, what the hell's gonna happen here? And then she hears that
Yeah.
voice recording, and it's like, even if we found her, it was no use because we don't have anyone who can find the cure. And she's like looping that voice recording over and over again. And then you see Joel riding the horse. He's like, yeah, you've got some explaining to do. So just give me a minute. Let me just mute my mic here. Confronting Joel.
Oh wow. Yes.
Yeah, she says, what exactly? Yeah, he instantly hugs her first because he's worried, and she's like, oh, you don't just leave me a goddamn note. And then she pushes him, and then
Yeah.
she's like, what does she say? What does she say? I don't even remember what she says.
What does she say?
Lie,
I
don't
can't
lie to
remember
me
either.
again.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about her face right now. It's like, uh,
Yeah, but she essentially asks him for the truth, right? She
yeah,
like,
tell me the
don't
truth.
tell me the
Don't
truth.
lie to
Like,
me.
what exactly happened?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you tell me the truth, I'll stay with you in Jackson, or I'll leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my
So,
God,
and
dude.
then
Oh
just tell me
my
what happened. And you
God.
can see Joel is like he's shutting his eyes, and the facial expression, like the mocap, it's so
The
good.
mocap is so spectacular. The acting is so good. I don't know why these people don't get bigger roles in like Hollywood. Like they deserve it. They're so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Troy
All of
Baker
them. All
especially.
of them.
Yeah,
Troy
yeah.
Baker, Ashley Johnson. Okay, she had a role in Blind Spot. But Troy Baker, man, come on. Like it's time you made that jump, honestly. Yeah. I mean the acting is so
But
spectacular and
yeah, and he's just shutting his eyes, and he says, "Making a vaccine would kill you, so I stopped them."
yeah. That stopped them. Oh, yeah.
And
Oh
then
wow,
she
man.
just goes down, she sits down, and she's holding her chest and she's crying, and he tries
It's
putting
so
his
real,
hand
man.
tries putting his hand on her shoulder, and then she just pushes
Don't
it
fucking
away.
touch me. Yeah.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. I'll go back
Done.
to Jackson, but you and me, we're through. And again,
Yeah.
this is
Oh my
just another
God.
scene that was manipulated in the trailer because it was showing older characters. It was showing older, longer hair Joel.
Yeah.
And yeah, the trailer
Yeah.
just the marketing just it betrayed us.
Garbage.
But yeah,
But what a beautiful
uh,
scene, man. What a beautiful scene. Like
this is the scene
you're
that
so
everyone was
sold.
waiting for since the first game, because you see that interaction happen
Yeah.
at the end where
Yes.
she's like, okay, and like, are they going to
Yeah.
address this or no in the second game, and when are they going to address this? And
Yeah.
you're just waiting for it to happen.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree, man. Oh, I love that scene, man. Honestly, like I was so like I totally understood uh
yeah,
both motivations. Like I understood why
yeah,
Joel did it,
yeah.
but I can understand the pain. Like you hear Ashley Johnson crying that scene, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
I hate moments like that, both
yes,
in like real life too, where they're two people who care about each other, and they're both right and wrong at the same time. I
yeah,
hate
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
I hate that so much.
yeah. And dude, you can also like see right. Like there was I don't know what the term is, but like Ellie, she kind of has like she was willing to die at the end of the first
That
game. She had
yeah,
resigned herself to death and she wanted to die and she wanted her life to mean something. And she said that she
purpose.
repeated that point so many times. She wanted purpose and she was willing to die. She wanted to sacrifice herself and like Joel took that choice away from her. And
Yeah,
it's so
that's what
serious
even
when you think
Marlene
about
says,
it.
right? Like it's what she wants, and
Yeah.
you would know that. And then she like puts the gun up, and she's like, you can still do the right thing.
You can still do the
And
right thing. Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get to that because we'll talk more about that in the end, basically, when we talk about that
Okay.
particular scene, that exchange. But
Yeah.
yeah, so confronts Joel, and I guess that's like the last push in terms of the flashbacks. Not actually not the last push because there are more flashbacks, but it's like a more powerful push then. And she's like, okay, I gotta find these people. And Dina's sick. Jesse's like, okay, I'll help you. And
Yeah.
Ellie's getting more and more like she's going mad basically. Because especially that scene where they're like, hey, let's just get Tommy. That's what Jesse says, right? Forget the revenge thing. Let's get Tommy and let's walk out of here. Do we agree
Yes.
with this? This is during the gameplay, not during the dialogue. And she's like, yeah. And then like, okay, that didn't sound very sincere, but and when they find out that Tommy's in danger, Jesse's like, let's go get Tommy. And she's like, no, we
Yeah.
have a
And she's
boat
like,
here.
no.
We can get to the place. We can get to the aquarium. Tommy's going
Yeah.
there
The
anyway.
aquarium. Yeah.
And then he's looking at her like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, what are you doing? Like, let's save Tommy.
Exactly.
while we still have the chance, and let's get out of here alive. And then she
Yeah.
gets arrogant and she says, I don't have to save your ass again. And then again, Jesse's such a cool character because he's like, he goes and he's like, I hope you make it.
I hope you make it. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's very
Yeah.
true. And also, like, I know this is not related to the story, but like the gameplay of day 2 and day 3 is so good. It's so fucking good. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna lie, it's so much fun to play. Like the sequence immediately after that, where you have to go into that dilapidated mall and take down, like, I don't even know, 100 people to get to the boat. It was
Yeah.
so much fun.
Even the
That's
whole
such a good
experience,
time.
like when you're on the boat and then the boat gets the boss fight that happens with the at the bloater, and that was also a pretty cool scene because like Joel is not here now.
God,
You have to take down this bloater yourself.
I died so many times in
Me
that.
too. Me too. People are
Oh,
saying, "Oh, I got it done in one try." I'm like, I don't know, freaking liar.
weird flex. I don't think you're just lying. You're lying. That's
Because
not
I didn't have
possible. That was
ammo,
so
man.
hard.
I would scavenge the area for ammo. I'm like, I didn't have ammo. Like, okay. I would throw bricks at the thing.
Yeah.
And the problem was I hated when you have this one main enemy, like that mechanism with this big boss and these minions that
And
keep
then
coming
there's
to
like
you.
small.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, do
it's
I
so
take up
annoying.
you're just focused on like if I just take down the main boss, the minions are gonna stop. Because that's like gameplay logic. But
You
yeah,
need you need shotgun shells. Otherwise, there's no way you can do
yeah,
that
you use
with
shotgun
these.
shells. By the way, just a side observation, the weapon system, this is really cool. Like the
Oh,
upgrades and
it's so
stuff,
good.
really like that. But that's a
So good.
gameplay thing, so
So good.
we won't get into
Yeah.
that. But the scene where now that after you defeat the bloater, you're on the boat stops working, and there's a wave, and she's like, "I'll do it alone," and she's like swimming against the tide, and it's lightning, and you're just in the mood, and she makes it to the aquarium, and
Yes.
she sees Owen, and no, she sees the table, the surgery on the table, and you're like, "What the hell's happening here?" And then you meet Owen and Mel who are having an argument, and then you ask them to like put their hands up, and then a really cool scene where she talks to Mel, "Get over here, you know,
Yeah.
show me, tell me." She asked Mel to speak, or yeah, she asked Mel to speak. Like
She
where?
asked Mal first. Yeah.
Yeah. So where's Abby? And then you pointed on the map, and it better match. And then that's like kind of like the tipping point. Now she's crossed that line. It's like this is Joel
I
right now.
do you think that she has though? I mean, that's the thing, right? I didn't find the scene to be as cool as I found a bit pathetic. Not in an objective way, in the sense that Ellie looks pathetic doing that because I don't think that she's as bad as Joel as a human being.
Like in the sense she's not
Yeah, I
as
don't.
what's that word? Like threatening. What's it called again? Intimidating. Yeah.
Yeah, intimidating. Not just intimidating. Like to be intimidating, you actually have to be that rotten inside. I'm not saying that Joel is rotten inside, but he is vindictive in the sense that
You
he
don't speak
wants
ill
to
of the dead, okay, Fez?
yes, but
Yeah.
like Joel has done some bad things, right? And he's comfortable doing that. I don't think Ellie, while perfectly fine exacting revenge, I don't think she had completely crossed that line to
But that's
do
the whole
it
point of the scene,
properly
right?
because she
Because
didn't
she's
do it
like,
right.
she wants the answer. She wants to know where Abby so desperately. She's like, you, like, Ellie knows she's not intimidating, man. But because of everything that's going on in her head and everything that's happened, like, these are the two people who can get me the person who killed Joel. So she's like,
Yeah,
I need to get this information at any cost. I just beat Nora up. I don't care what I'll do to you guys. And she says, I'll spare you, but I'll spare you. Later she comes to the like, she starts thinking like, okay, I'll spare you. I'll leave you guys alone. And O's like, don't. We're dead anyway. And then he tries to reach out for a gun. She shoots Owen, and she kills Mel. But then you're like, okay, like why is she panicking? And then she kind of unzips Mel's hoodie, and then you see Mel's belly, and that was a really dark moment because you're like,
yeah,
I
it
can't
is.
believe a game actually showed you killing a woman who was pregnant, and
Yeah.
Ellie's kind of getting dizzy. Everything around her is becoming ambient noises and stuff.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love
Yeah,
that part. It was so
and
well
then
done.
she drops the map, right? And then you hear this hand, and it's Tommy. It's like, oh, Tommy's alive. Yes, Tommy. And Jesse comes back still. Again, Jesse's a cool character. Even after the crap that Ellie told Jesse, he still ends up coming after to save her.
Yeah,
So
I mean, that was never
it
going to be
was,
in question. He was going to come. We knew
yeah. So
that.
I was
Joe,
really happy to
Jesse's
see
a cool
them.
boy.
And then when the next scene happens at the theater where she's next to Dina, and there's like this, everyone's kind of reassessing the whole situation. They're like, listen, we need to, let's just leave now. We've seen a lot of shit. we need to get out of this place. And Tommy, I need to talk about this because this is something that I'm not comfortable with as the game progresses. Because Tommy asks Ellie, you know, does she get to live? Ellie asks Tommy actually, like, she gets to live. She's talking about Abby, and Tommy's like, yeah, are you okay with that? Like Tommy, Joel's brother, right? Who I obviously has a stronger connection to Joel than Ellie does, through blood, that is. And she's like, she says it has to be, like, I have to be okay with this because of how traumatized she was with, with the death of Mel and everything that else that's happened. And then you have that interaction between Jesse and Ellie where he's like, my friend's problems are my problems. And Tommy's gone to show them gold. And you hear a third noise. You know what? The thing is, when things are going well in this game, it makes you so pessimistic that like something bad is going to happen. Like this happiness is kind of like short-lived, which sucks to it sucks to play this game in the pandemic because you're like, I need something to kind of get me through the day, and now I play this. Like double misery.
Yeah. I feel like this game came at the wrong time. I do definitely feel like this game should have come last year.
And that's after it got delayed so many times.
Yeah, it's so sad. I feel like that's one of the reasons why the game has not been received the way I don't know, it could have been. It's so negative.
You hear the noises, and as soon as you open the door, the gunshot, and you look at Jesse's face. And then I was like, I paused. I'm like, what the hell? They killed Jesse. Why did you kill Jesse? And then they show Abby, stand up. Don't you do it, Ellie? And then you're like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? And then Ellie surrenders, and you're like, what the hell's happening? And Abby's kind of like emotional still. Like she's not pointing the gun directly to Ellie yet. And she's like, we let you to live. Ellie says that I'm the reason that, spare him. You want me. Like Joel killed the people, the Fireflies, because of me. And then she says, like, we let you to live and you wasted it. And then the screen goes black. And I feel
even if I didn't know any of Abby's story, I totally get where she's coming from. Like she's absolutely right that she let her live and she absolutely wasted it. There is no two ways about it. And not only that, she killed all of her friends in the process. Like all of her friends are dead now, essentially. Who's left?
But the thing is, that's the whole point of the conflict that I guess they're trying to create, is because, you're so connected to Joel. That's why you keep justifying all the horrible things you're doing as Ellie. And when that tipping point comes, you're like, okay, I get, like, slowly, right? It starts building up. In the beginning, you're like, you're headstrong, like, we have to kill Abby. And then when you interrogate Nora, you're like, okay. Then you kill Mel, pregnant lady, like, okay. And then even with the whole interaction with Jesse, he's like, you care more about revenge than saving Tommy right now at this point. Like, who the hell are you?
Very true. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
With all those events that have transpired, you're like, okay, I love Joel, but this is where we draw the line and we have to pack our bags and go home right now. And then this scene happens, and like there's so much momentum that is built that when the switch happens right now, is there anyone who was like, I remember when the screen goes black, I stood up for a bit, like, what's happening? And then the next scene is Dad, and you see a ponytail. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, no.
Yeah.
And then very true. The camera pans and it shows young Abby, who, by the way, is still very buff. I don't know how that works.
She wasn't that buff in that scene.
No, man. She's buff. We've got arms in that scene too. She's been freaking doing push-ups since she was born, man. She was born in a gym. I think that's what happened. You want to break it off here, by the way, because this is Abby's thing, or you want to keep going?
We can stop here, and like, why don't you tell me what your thoughts were when this happened? Aside from reaction to I can't believe
the momentum. I feel like everyone who played this game, because the switch happens at such a like pivotal moment that you don't really care. You're like, are you seriously going to make me play as Abby again, knowing that she killed Joel? Like when I first played as her, I didn't know she was going to kill Joel. Now she killed Joel, and at such a like intense scene that you're dying to know what happens next. You're like, okay, here's Abby's story, and it's a really slow scene. You're like, where's Ellie? Like, okay. And I was just hoping that this is just a one-time flashback scene that happens, and then we get to play as Ellie again. That's not the case.
Same.
And
so let me tell you what happened with me, right?
Yeah.
I felt exactly the same way. I was fucking mad. Okay, I called my friend. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? What is this? Who does this?
Yeah.
Okay, what is this shit? Okay?
Yeah.
What is this shit, man? Like, I'm not gonna play, dude. The problem with the game is this not a problem, okay? This is a wild experiment,
Yeah.
and it's very clear that Neil Druckmann admitted that this game was going to be messy because they were trying to deal with a messy concept and
Yeah.
trying to create something that was artistic, and art
Yeah.
is messy. Art is going to be messy, and art is going to push boundaries, right? Now, this game has been climbing,
Yeah.
and you literally drop down to a point that's even lower than the start of the game.
Yeah. That's true.
And like the pace, it's such a jarring halt, right?
Yeah.
And
That's so
now
true.
and thing is, this game and this marketing team has been so fucking stupid that they did not communicate that there's an entirely different game that's waiting
Character.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, playing with Abby is not the problem. The problem is that it's so long, and I don't see. When I put down the controller, I had a different feeling. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna be honest. Like, this is where you and I, like, our thoughts diverge, right? You think differently about the game, and I think differently about it. This is where it happened. Everything about this game hinges on how much you enjoy or at least appreciate Abby's story. If you can't accept Abby's story, you can't accept this game. Everything depends on this game, and there is no indication that she's even in it, right? And that's
Yeah.
a complete marketing failure.
Like,
It's a complete marketing failure.
people kept speculating, especially like, again, the first trailer was the guitar thing. The very next trailer that Naughty Dog released was Abby's trailer, where she's being dragged by
Oh
the
yeah.
stars, and
Oh
everyone's
my
like, "Oh, is
God.
that Ellie? Is that Ellie's mom?" Like, "Oh my God, that's Ellie's mom!"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Whoa,
That was
Ellie's
so
mom is
stupid.
ripped as hell, man." Again,
Yeah.
I keep saying this whole thing. Abby's ripped, guys. She goes to the gym 24/7. But
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so the marketing, so you kept speculating, and the fans were kept in the dark. And it's not like you place Abby in like glimpses or like small chunks. Half the game is like 60% is not even 55 is Ellie, and 45 is Abby. And that's the first thing I asked my friend, the guy who gave me the PlayStation. I paused the game. I'm like, listen, do we place Abby now? Like, is this just one scene, or do we continue playing as Abby? And without trying to spoil it, he's like, listen, uh, the game is long, and you do play as Abby, because as you're playing as Abby, it starts telling you, hey, you can upgrade your weapons, you can do this, you can do that.
Yeah.
Like,
And
why do I need to upgrade my weapons? Am I going to be playing as this character for a long period of time?
Yes. You're absolutely right. Look, honestly, like, to the viewer as well, if you do not like Abby's story, okay, this is one thing I'm going to say about the game, okay? Because I'm going to say things that probably you are not going to agree with. Every feeling that you had from this game is justified, okay? However, if you were one of this, how do I say this? But not all of the reactions to this game were justified. I strongly believe that. A lot of people sent death threats to Laura Bailey.
Yeah, that's
Neil
stupid.
Druckmann.
Toxic
That's
fans
crossing a
anywhere for
line.
any franchise is stupidity, and no one's endorsing that.
Yeah. So a lot of the reactions that you had to the game, a lot of people sort of got turned off by the game because of the fact that there is such a ripped character in the game and that she's a woman. I don't see why you care. I mean, there are
No
other
toxic
issues with Abby.
masculinity
Why
here
not
again.
focus on that?
Once again, no toxic masculinity in this thread. Okay. We appreciate women
No,
of
I mean,
all bicep sizes, and we appreciate men who cry. That's okay. Yeah, go on.
the problem with the reactions to the game is that a lot of you are focusing on things that actually don't even matter. They're all semantics. There are actually flaws in the game. Please focus on that. And I feel like we can tackle that like in another sort of session about Abby's journey. And spoiler alert, while didn't enjoy all of it, I enjoyed significant parts of it. And
Same. Even I
hope
enjoyed
I can
significant parts
justify
of it.
that. So
Not all of
yeah.
it, but I feel
Not
like
all of it, yeah.
both of us are kind of holding back in terms of what we feel, because you have to. All these things make sense more in hindsight when we talk about the ending of the game, because we wrap all
that's the
our
best.
opinions.
For me, that's the best part of this game. That's
Yeah,
exactly
so
what I like. I was like,
everything about Abby, Ellie,
yes.
everything, we'll resolve that when we get to the end. But for now, I think because it's kind of getting a little late for both of us, and you haven't had dinner, I haven't had dinner yet. So we put a pause for this right now, and we'll pick up with Abby's journey and the ending and a couple of other things some other time. So yeah, I think we'll take a shift. We'll take a pause right now, and we'll see.
Yes.
I'll see you, and I'll see whoever's watching this hopefully again. Yeah, see you in part 2.